Hey, um, I just feel like coming on for a minute, and give a second to see if anybody does come in. I'm Robin Webster. Some of you probably know me. If not, I appreciate it if you subscribe and leave me some feedback. Um, I'm trying to set up some debates and things, and get into moderating some debates and. So I really would like for anybody that's interested in that to hit me up and see if we can figure out some debates for future events, things like that. I've done a debate on was the United States founded on Christianity with Stephen Boland from Proverbs Guys Ministries. It was a very respectful debate, a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. And we have a debate coming up. Should Christians support the Second Amendment? I'm taking the negative position. And I'm currently looking for an opponent in the should Christians support ICE? So if you have any interest in any kind of debate or one of what I just mentioned, contact me. Um, what I wanted to show right now is I just watched a video from Pete Buttigieg, which, like, I've never been like a huge fan of Pete's. I've always thought he did a good job, but every time I watch him on Fox News, he just really impresses me with his ability to just be able to go on there and just stun everybody in silence on that on that stage. So I'm gonna go over a little commentary with this about this. So we're gonna watch this, and hold on just a minute because I don't have it set up yet. Okay. All right. Here we go. This is Fox News, of course, and Pete does such a great job. We'll watch a few seconds of it, and then I'll respond.
Their message. President Trump was out this week speaking to voters about his plans on affordability. Now, at the same time, Democrat candidates are getting a boost from some of the party's biggest names, like Kamala Harris and Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Joining me now is the former Transportation Secretary, widely expected to potentially be a 2028 contender, Secretary Buttigieg. Secretary, great to have you.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it for just a minute. Yesterday, there has been some special elections going on, and the Democrats are wiping the floor, and the polls are looking bad for the Republicans. But if you notice how, like, just bouncy this woman is, and how thrilled she just seems to be, and like watch her face as this interview progresses, it's kind of amusing.
Here, I know that you will be out on the trail. I heard you just had a big rally in a purple area. There were more than 1,000 there. I believe it was in Wisconsin. And in my mind, there's two kind of ideological debates playing out in the Democratic Party. And one is this socialism debate. And we've seen that play out right here in New York City. And we've seen some of the polling trends, including Gallup, 66% of Democrats.
And I'd like to say that I'm not sure that anything that is going on in the Democratic Party necessarily like, I don't know, are we talking about socialism? I mean, like, I know we have a lot of socialist people that are pushing towards post socialism, but I'm not sure that like, she tries to make it that sound like that the Democratic Party is split up over this ideal. It's like, if you'll notice, she changes topics at least 3 times, and every time she goes to a topic that she thinks is going to put Pete in a corner, and he is so good, and you can just tell he never gets flustered, and he is not one to cause, like, it's hard to be mean to him back. So yes, he just gives a master class on how to go into the lion's den and just get the lions to eat, just stun them in silence.
Have a favorable view of socialism, and I'm wondering what your response is to that and how you'll handle it on the trail.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's kind of just become a label and sometimes name calling, where the really important thing is to figure out what candidates actually stand for. It's not surprising that you're going to have a different kind of Democrat winning in a place like New York City than you might in a place like New Jersey or Virginia or northern Michigan, where I live, or the other places we're going to be competing. But what I'm finding is that even though we're a big tent and different Democrats sometimes have different answers, we're asking the same question, and I think it's the right question, which is, how do we make life more affordable in this country? This president took office promising that he was going to make life more affordable on.
Hey, Big Bad Mama. Hello. It's good to see you. Um, yeah. Like this is such a good. I don't know if you've seen this, Big Bad Mama, but this is such a good video. Like Pete is he's so good at this. He really is so good at this. But um, do you want to come on? I wasn't going to stay on long, but you can come. You can join me if you want to. If you're still there. All right, well, I'll start back the video.
On day one, he said grocery prices would go down. They've gone up. Energy prices are up while he's killing utility projects that would create more energy generation. Obviously, we're really in a painful place as a country right now on healthcare, where a big issue in the midterms will be, why did so many congressional Republicans vote to cut Medicaid while they were giving tax cuts to some of the wealthiest Americans? And why do they refuse to extend the tax credits that will help with everybody's premiums going up? The House voted to do it. The Senate GOP refuses, and the president, I think, could solve that with one phone call, but he just won't. So these are the kinds of issues that I've been hearing about. Certainly that event you mentioned when I was in Wisconsin, really around the country, and I think they're going to drive the election this year.
I think the president's response.
Okay, yeah. First, she tried to trap him in the, hey, Kelly, I'm just bragging on Pete Higgs. Pete Higgs, yeah, he's just giving a master class on going on Fox. She tried to frame all this stuff about socialism. It's like this is like a trifecta of the Republican fear mongering points. You'll see that she hits them all before it's over with, and Pete just doesn't fall for it. And I just love that. I love that he just maintains his cool and just speaks truth to power. And she just sits there, and her face just gets really, you can see more stressed out as the time goes on. So let's go back and hear what else he says.
Would likely be that the Biden era high of inflation was 11%. I brought it down to 2.7%. I have the right solution. There's more work to be done, I imagine, is what he would say. I understand you have a different viewpoint, but you did mention some of these issues playing out. And one of them is the issue of biological men in women's sports. And it's a big issue.
Oh, wait a minute. I muted it.
Internal data said move the electorate by 2.7 percentage points. So where do you come down on that issue, which will...
Okay, so she goes from the socialism fear-mongering tactic to the biological men playing sports and with girls. Is anybody in the United States right now, is that a main concern? How many people? We've got ICE terrorizing cities. We've got federal agents shooting American citizens, taking their licensed licensed gun away from them and shoot him in the back. We've got ICE agents shooting mothers of three in the face. Energy is very expensive. Everything is more expensive. We've got Trump trying to start a war from Greenland to China to Iran to every South American country. And plus, we got the 3 million pages worth of Epstein files yesterday come out that show that our president definitely was involved in some sexual abuse of children, underage girls. and so is this a main concern of it? And this is what Fox thinks is important to ask Pete Buttigieg about, which really seems like to me that it sounds like she really thought she was going to trip him up, and he does not fall for it at all. I just love it.
No doubt be asked in a presidential debate potentially.
Well, I think approaching an issue like that, the most important thing is to take everyone seriously, take people across the different sides of this issue seriously, whether you're talking about parents who are wondering what this means for fairness for their kids competing, or parents who want to make sure that their kids aren't being discriminated against and get a chance to participate. And, this is going to be different in different cases, right? Middle school is not the same thing as the Olympics. Chess is not the same thing as weightlifting, which is why I think these are decisions that are best not made by politicians. But I also have to tell you, I would be surprised if this is a top 3 or even a top 10 voter issue in the midterms this year. I know that millions and millions of dollars came from Republican campaigns to put this issue front and center. They might feel that temptation again, even though I think that effort largely fell flat when they tried to change the subject to this from affordability in the elections in late 2025. But to me, at a time when, again, you got energy bills through the roof, the president has failed to do the things he specifically promised to do, like cut healthcare prices or premiums or cut grocery prices. And at a time when we have these shocking events in Minnesota, right? When you have American citizens being arrested, being gunned down, something that I think can bring a lot of people together. Watching somebody exercising their First Amendment rights and Second Amendment rights. I know my party doesn't talk about the Second Amendment as much, but I think seeing an American taken to the ground, having his gun removed, and then after having his gun removed, being shot in the back up to 10 times, and then having the government say that he was a terrorist all along, based on no evidence besides the fact that he was a lawful concealed carry holder. I think those are the kinds of things that, as painful as they are, can actually bring together a lot of Americans to say, hey, we need a different direction. Or even if you do usually vote Republican, we need some balance in our government so that you got a Congress that isn't just a rubber stamp, that can exercise some oversight over an administration that's gotten out of control.
Great answer. Great answer. Awesome answer. Like, he didn't fall for the trap. He didn't come in there and, blunder around about trans people playing sports. He didn't fall for the trap. He gave a very common sense answer about the politicians should not be making these decisions, and I agree. I think that the managing sports organizations over each one of these organizations should make these decisions based on the best scientific, information that we have. So, yeah, I love it. I love it. She didn't, and he ended up bringing. And I love how he brought the Alex Preddy thing in, because that is such a bad thing right now for them, especially with the Second Amendment thing. And I'm so glad Pete brought that in and highlighted that. Yeah, you can see her face getting more and more pinched. And hello, Duck, and hello, Kelly. But anyway, I just enjoyed the heck out of this video. And then there's just one more segment. They get to one more segment. If I was her, I probably would have just went ahead and cut him off now and not asked the last question, because she should know that he's going to do it again. But she's blonde and probably not very smart. And not that blondes are not smart, but I don't think they like to have smart women on Fox. I kind of doubt it.
I think two things can be true. One, it's a tragedy anytime an American citizen dies. Absolutely. And we heard Tom Homan this week talk about how he prays every time before he goes out. He doesn't want even, the elite.
He prays. There you go. That's doing something. I mean, yeah, okay, great. He prays.
Immigrant who might have a criminal record to be harmed in the process of obtaining them. But at the same time, Americans clearly called for immigration enforcement. They called for not a lawless southern border where 2 million gotaways happened during the Biden administration. So what's the response to those in your party who are saying abolish ICE? Because that is not where the American people stand.
Yeah, I think Americans want and expect that we will have a secure border, understand that we have immigration laws and that those immigration laws have to be enforced. But what we're seeing is not that. What we're seeing is the people who are supposed to be enforcing the law are breaking the law. It's been held in court that they have violated countless court orders, and the people they're going after are not increasingly and proportionally not just the person we can all agree needs to be deported and dealt with, somebody with a criminal record. But, when you see a 5-year-old kid in a Spider-Man backpack being treated, being incarcerated this way, when you see people who did follow the rules, follow the laws, did everything they're supposed to, and they are still getting arrested, mistakenly deported, having their rights violated. When you see this photo of an American woman opening the door to her home and on her doorstep finds half a dozen agents, federal agents in tactical gear that is more tricked out than what I would take outside the wire when I was in Afghanistan. Again, on the door of an American porch, I think most people get that that is wrong. It is not making us safer. And, the border police should be dealing with the border. I don't know what border is in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I would note DHS's response would be
I know what
that,
border's in Minnesota. Let me correct myself, but not Minneapolis.
I'm sure you do know the borders there. DHS's response would be that they were taking care of that 5-year-old in that moment. They also would say 70% of those who they have obtained have a criminal record. That's their response. I do want to ask.
Okay. Yeah, I love the answer he gave. I love it. Hi, Speedy. I love the answer that he gave. That was hilarious. Like her face just looks more. She looks like she's in pain. Hey, Bids. See if I've missed anybody else. I'm just going over how the masterclass that Pete seems to give, and every time he goes on Fox, it's great. He's just awesome. Like, I don't know. I think that maybe I'm more and more convinced all the time that he should be our president. I really am. He's so well spoken, and he just goes on, and he doesn't flub up answers, and he just says stuff and he just comes across very genuine, I think. But she's tried to trip him up on socialism. She tried to trip him up on trans people playing sports, and then of course whatever 2 million getaways from Biden was. I don't know what that means. Like we getaways, the new terms they come up with on this show. But anyway, she's got one more shot. She's gonna try one more time to, make herself look better, like make him look bad. And I'm surprised Fox lets him come on anymore, actually. Hi, Jester. I really am. If I was Fox, I'd be like, no more Pete. No more Pete. We cannot have Pete. Let's listen to the last segment.
Ask you about foreign policy. We've seen Maduro, who is now in custody here in New York City. He will be on trial. And I know initially you were critical of the operation President Trump conducted, but now, as we heard from Marco Rubio, 2,000 prisoners released. There have been pastors who have been released. Venezuela says all Americans.
The pastors being released. That's the important thing. All these poor, persecuted Christian pastors that were locked up. Yeah.
Citizens have been released. What's your response now with the benefit of hindsight, and what would you have done as commander-in-chief?
Look, there's a lot of dictators around the world that I don't like. Maduro is one of them. That doesn't mean that the U.S. should use force to overthrow them one by one. Anytime we're talking about using force, and I say this as somebody who was sent into a war on the orders of an American president.
And just let me say that, it's, Trump is playing around with sending our soldiers into places when he, was a 4-time draft dodger who he had every chance that he had to have to go fight. So, it doesn't matter to him. These people's lives don't matter to him. And we all know now that we knew then, actually we did, but, that Maduro was not about anything about saving these pastors that were locked up or even doing anything for the people, because they actually didn't change the regime that is running the country. So Maduro's administration is still running the country, not the administration that actually won the elections. that they had. So, there's nothing changed. The oil. We went after the oil. And he even said it. Like he murdered all these people in these gunboats for weeks, crying around about drug dealers. And now we know. And then he came out and just openly said, Trump said it was about the oil. Like his handlers can't even keep him from admitting illegal shit. But this is where Pete puts the nail in the coffin right here of this chick right here. Like she may even lose her job after this. I don't know. She might should, but that she definitely should not have Pete on again.
Bar has to be higher. It has to be in the core security interest of this country. And there has to be no alternative. And I just don't see any evidence of that in the case of Venezuela. And, the rationale that the administration gave was that this was about drug trafficking. But if we're really serious about that, we have yet to hear an answer from the White House on why the President Trump, pardoned the president of Honduras, the ex-president who was convicted in an American courtroom of bringing in, I think, 400, I can't even remember how many millions of tons of cocaine, of billions of individual doses of cocaine into the United States. How did this criminal get a pardon from President Trump? Did he contribute to the ballroom project? Did he buy some of that cryptocurrency and make the Trump family wealthier? Why are these many fraudsters getting those pardons? And I think the pardon power, whether we're talking about the people who were convicted of beating up cops on January 6th, or whether we're talking about the ex-president of Honduras, should be a much bigger story in this country.
Secretary Buttigieg, I would note that Marco Rubio gave an explanation this week. The president felt that the Honduran president, former, I should note, was untreated fairly. But thank you for your viewpoint. We love having alternative viewpoints here. And we'll be following you. And I know you've already answered, you won't share with us if you're running in 2028, which is why I did not ask. So thank you so much. All right. Well.
Oh my gosh. She was in a hurry to get rid of him. Like that was 3. That was a trifecta. The Trinity masterclass for Pete Buttigieg. So very good. So very good. I wish that all the Democratic leaders could speak in that. Running for what? Pete's not running. Oh, talking about president. He's like, there's some people saying that that Pete is going to run for president. He hasn't announced. I don't think that anybody's announced yet. The Democrats are going to have a large field probably. But I think that they're wanting to try to keep the infighting down. So I don't know. Like I'm thinking that my governor, Andy Beshear, is probably going to run too. And so I don't know. We'll see. There may be a lot of them in there that end up running. So anyway, so yeah. And whatever Donald says is, of course, reality. Yes, because he is plugged into reality. Yes. But I love it. Like, this is probably the most truth that Fox viewers have been exposed to in a very long while. And Pete got in all of the stuff in there. He got it all in. Never passed the vibe check of how name sounds. Pete Buttigieg, President Buttigieg. Yeah, like it'd be hard to spell later on, like in history, maybe. He's definitely, though. If I was president of the United States, he would definitely be in my cabinet doing something. I don't know if transportation was his job or not. I don't really know. He actually should be speaking for people, I think. Of course, he's way too important to be press secretary, but he definitely maybe he should be. I don't know what, but I would make a job for him if I didn't have one, so he could speak for me about it. I wish he was speaking for Trump because he makes so much more sense. Yes, Miss Maud. Is it me and Miss Maud? Okay, as long as I'm the president and she's the vice president, I guess I can handle that. Not the other way around though. But oh, the Buddy people. Yeah, well, like um, I think you have to be like a middle school intelligence to make jokes about people's names. I don't know. I think I know that a lot of our voters are that, but but anyway, but I just love this. I just thought this was so cool because I just love watching her face. You could tell that she was like in pain by the time he got. In fact, she was trying to cut him off there at the end before he got on to the part about Trump pardoning the cocaine king guy. But so I'd say she probably got a little talking to after she got off stage by for letting him come on there and make all them points. He brought up the Alex Pretty shooting. He brought up, just everything that Trump has done, and it's great. And I just want to say something else. I want to, y'all know I'm from Kentucky. Senator Rand Paul is one of my senators. Um, the other one is Mitch McConnell, of course. So, like, haven't had much ever to be proud of in the senator department of my state. But Rand Paul has called for hearings for this week on the Pretty shootings and stuff. And he went on to 60 Minutes. You can go watch that. He went on to 60 Minutes and had a talk on 60 Minutes. And Senator Rand Paul was very clear that as of right now, the videos that he has seen, unless he has shown a different video, he does not say. He says that he does not think that Alex Pretty is doing anything that to warrant any kind of violence against him. That he is not attacking um, any ICE agents. That he is out there like guiding traffic through, and he is retreating, and he is trying to help a woman who was pushed, and he was had his legally to carry firearm removed from his body, and then was shot 10 times in the back. And who had Rand Paul having more integrity than the whole entire rest of the Republican Party on their bingo card? Not me, but yes, I'm glad that he's doing it. And he did actually. I have he has. This is not my first chance of being able to be like, and I did email him. I did. I emailed him. I've been emailing him about all this shit. He mentioned the boat, like the fishing boat. You know, when they was blowing up the fishing boats, and he was ranting and raving about that too. So, and I've emailed him all week last week, especially after Alex Pretty got killed, and so I sent him an email tonight and told him thank you. I'd say he probably don't get a whole lot of those. I don't know, but I did. I told him I appreciated him showing some integrity when nobody in his party was. So what would be like living amongst these people? I would always drive me crazy. Yes, David, it does. It does. It does. And one of the hardest things is I live in a small town, and it's full of MAGA people, and these are people I've known all my life, like my parents. My parents are MAGA. My parents are MAGA. Yes, they are. Um, and watching people that you've known and respected all your life continue to support a man who has attacked every part of our society on every front, and like abused, like the Epstein files are really bad. um, and these people still seem to be with him, or they don't. They went awful quiet, though. I will say that they've gotten pretty quiet. I post a lot on Facebook. I don't get much a comment ever from anybody around here. They may all have me. They're still friends with me, but they may have me snoozed where they don't read my stuff. I don't know, but they also do not comment. They do not defend him, and I think that's probably wise, really, because Yeah, when it's people you love, that's right. It is when it's people you love, people like I grew up as a girl, thinking my daddy was the best man that ever walked the planet, and I still feel that way about my dad, but he wasn't as good as I guess as I thought he was, and that's hard. That's hard to deal with sometimes. He's good to me still. I just that's why I hate Fox News so bad because what they've done to these people, because they've actually just took away people, um, and turned them into other people that I don't even recognize anymore. But I appreciate y'all coming by and hanging out for a minute. I don't know. I just had to share that with. I was so excited about that stream, about that little clip. That was bad, but I love all y'all, and like I said, I'm looking for some debate partner for. I'm looking for a opponent for the debate. Should Christians support ICE? I have my argument all sorted out for the should Christians support the Second Amendment, which I will be doing with Stephen Bolin, even though he really would love to not have to do it now. But anyway, he has already agreed to it, so we are going to do it. But I think that should be pretty good. Um, I think they're going to have a hard time justifying stuff when they want to use a real argument for it. So, thank y'all for coming, and bye.